Hello, my musical friends. Welcome. Today we're going to talk about the right age to start learning the violin. But first, if you're new here, my name is Deanna and I'm a professional viola and violin player. I help aspiring violinists and violists reach the next level in their musicianship. If this sounds good to you, please make sure to subscribe and tap that notification bell so you don't miss any new videos as they come out. It can be intimidating to start a new skill at any age. And for those of us who love to listen and watch recordings, we can be inundated with recordings of tiny violinists, little prodigies, and we start to get this idea in our head that the right age to start is 3 or 4 years old. And that if we haven't started by 3 or 4 years old, then we're too old. I want to share that I did not start at 4 years old, or 5 or 6. I started very casually at age 11. Then, after pleading for some years for music lessons, I was able to finally start music lessons, not just sitting in my public school orchestra, at age 15. And I am a professional violinist and violist. I am paid to appear on television and recordings and play chamber music. That's what I do as a living. That's what pays the bills. I also have a really wonderful student group that I teach, mostly of adult learners. I know many of you are going to say, okay, well, Deanna, 15, 11 years old, this is not old. And no, it's not. It's definitely not. Some of you out there might be 36, 56, 76, wondering, is that too old to be learning an instrument? And I emphatically want to say to you, no, it's not too old. The correct age to start learning an instrument or restart learning an instrument is today years old. Whenever you became today years old is the age that you should start learning an instrument. Let's talk about the advantages and disadvantages of being an adult learner, and I want to honestly discuss them. So I want to start with the possible disadvantages. Time and building up a practice routine are the biggest challenge I see for my adult learners. They have lives. They might have families or kids or really busy jobs that take a lot of energy. And so that's going to other priorities in their life. And so the challenging thing can sometimes be to find time to practice. But I want to say to you, plan your practice schedule like you would any other appointment in your life, whether that's taking your kid to soccer or getting to the doctor. Treat it as something that you honor. It's a gift to yourself, but it's something that you also honor. So if you are not able to make your practice time one day, something comes up, you're not able to do it, then you reschedule that time. Make a commitment to get a certain number of hours in every single week. And that commitment is just as strong as your commitment to get to work every day at 9 a.m. It's not something that's going to get tossed out because, you had a busy weekend and suddenly you feel a little tired, so you're just going to bypass it up. You make it a priority. That's the biggest challenge I've seen with adult learners, is that it's sometimes can become not a priority. We can put it on the back burner and get farther and farther away from it. And we don't want to do that. The next thing I want to talk about is, that's the biggest thing I will say as an adult learner that you need to be aware of and you need to work around. The next thing I want to talk about is that curriculum and ensembles, other music activities are built largely for younger learners. It can be difficult to find a community of like-minded folks. And that is a really important part of your education, is being able to share your experiences. Not just that you should be in a practice room all day long by yourself. It's actually that you should be sharing your journey with other people and getting the opportunity to make music with other people. And you'll probably have to look out for those opportunities, seek them out, because not as obvious, I would say, as a lot of the opportunities for kids in learning violin and learning, string instrument or an orchestral instrument. It's a lot easier. There are systems built into place, but it's not impossible. Where I live in Denmark, there are tons of adult amateur orchestras, and I encourage my students to take part in them. I also have many students that are not in Denmark. I teach online, and those students I also encourage to seek out musical opportunities with your friends that play instruments, or find an amateur orchestra or an ensemble in your area that you can become involved with, so that you are not isolated on your musical journey. This goes hand in hand with making time for practice, but as adults, we can make choices about what we have time for, what we don't. You are feeling stressed, it might feel very easy to just be able to say, I'm going to take a break from the instrument. And I have to say that quite simply, if you continue to push through, that you will see progress, you will get better. If you stop, if you quit, you're not going to make that progress, of course, because you're not working towards it. So it's really important that that you don't quit. You have to. Again, it's about making this commitment, commitment to the process, but also commitment to not walk away if it becomes challenging. If you're going through a really busy time in your life and you don't have as much time as you'd like, if you still continue to work towards it, you will see gains, you will see progress. It can be easier for children because many times children come up to their parents and they say, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm bored. I'm tired, whatever. And the parent just says, well, that's too bad. You're going to keep doing this. You didn't do your 30 minutes of practice for the day. You got to do that. So there's a bit of structure that kids are often given, that sometimes it can be easy to let go of as an adult learner, and you don't want to give up that structure. In fact, that structure is a gift to yourself, just like it's a gift for your child, if you have a child. But we all benefit from some structure. It can be easier for children because many times children come up to their parents and they say, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm bored. I'm tired, whatever. And the parent just says, well, that's too bad. You're going to keep doing this. You didn't do your 30 minutes of practice for the day. You got to do that. So there's a bit of structure that kids are often given, that sometimes it can be easy to let go of as an adult learner, and you don't want to give up that structure. In fact, that structure is a gift to yourself, just like it's a gift for your child, if you have a child. But we all benefit from some structure. Now let's talk about the advantages to learning an instrument as an adult learner. And there's quite a few. The first and the biggest one, I think, is intrinsic motivation. We can either have an external lotus or internal lotus for any activity that we do, any new skill that we're learning. And for adult learners, they often have a deep desire within themselves to learn this instrument for some reason. And that's an intrinsic motivation, an internal locus that is so important. So that's going to keep you in it when things get hard. So you want to have that motivation coming from inside you, not because anyone else told you you should do it, not because the neighbors are all learning an instrument. It's something that you personally want in your life and that you've committed to. The next thing is pattern of learning. We As we get older, we have more and more experience learning new skills. Perhaps some of you speak multiple languages, or you know how to bake things or cook things, or you've developed a trade or a craft, and that's what you do as your career. You have a lot of experience with learning something new. And that's really, really important. And it's going to make the next skill that you learn even easier. You have an idea of how you learn, what is your learning style, and as a result, you'll be able to better tailor that to your own education in violin or viola, or you can communicate that learning style to your music teacher so that they can help make it a quicker process for you in your learning journey. This ties into the next advantage that we have as adult learners, which is analyzation. Adults are much better at analyzing their playing and their practice than children. I always say we need to be like scientists in a laboratory, examining why we made a sound or pitch, and if that's what we wanted to do in this particular phrase or piece. And if it wasn't, what can we do to correct it? If it was, how can we recreate it? So we want to have really good analyzing skills. It's all about analysis, and adults are generally much better at this than children. The next reason, the next advantage that adult learners have over young learners is focus. Adult learners tend to be much more focused than children. And your focus muscles as an adult learner are much more developed compared to a child. And so it will be easier for you to get and retain more information out of each lesson you have. It's also easier to learn note reading and basic music theory concepts. You will have an easier time learning abstract concepts, like being able to read music and to understand how to decipher that, what's on the page, into sound. That will be easier for you. The next thing that I want to talk about is schedule autonomy. Adults are fully in control of their schedule. And I say this understanding that things can come up. We have responsibilities at work, with family, with friends, so pets. So we do have a lot of things, to take care of in our lives, but we do have control. We can decide that I want to focus on this, that I want to make time for this, and do that. As a child, we may not have that autonomy over our schedule, the ability to choose what we want to do. So I find that because of this autonomy, adults are more deliberate in their practice. And because they're able to manage their time better, they choose when they want to practice, when it works for them. And when they're in their practice, they're able to manage their time better because they've made a choice that they're going to be there. So they're there, they're practicing, they're analyzing, they're deliberating, finding what works for them, what works for that piece, and they're able to make more progress within that window of practice time. In conclusion, you can start playing violin at any age. You are not held back by your age. So you are today years old, and that is the perfect age for you to start playing violin or viola. What is most important is your commitment to a consistent practice schedule, to regular practice. And that is something, like how much practice, that is something that you can agree on with your music teacher. And then make a contingency plan. If something comes up, you're not able to make the practice time for that day or for even a few days, it's just been really hectic or there was an emergency, then you make a contingency plan about when you will next practice. What are you going to do to make up for that time, or what's the next steps, so that you don't have to just feel bad and let it go. The next thing is to accept that learning violin or viola is a challenge for everyone. It is difficult to play these instruments no matter what age you are. No one comes out of the womb being able to play violin or viola. Even those little prodigies that we see all over YouTube. So we have to accept that it's a journey with good days and bad days and commit to sticking it out. If you consistently keep moving forward, you will see progress. When you see progress, you're going to want to move forward even more, keep consistently moving forward, then you will see more progress. And that will be really satisfying. So it's this really wonderful cycle that you can start to build up around your practice and around your playing. Finally, you need to articulate your personal music goals with yourself and with your teacher. What exactly does your goal with violin or viola look like? What does mastery look like to you? What do you want to achieve in music? Do you want to play a particular piece? Do you want to be able to play a certain technique on the instrument? Do you want to be able to perform for others? When we don't nail down exactly what we're trying to do, and where we want to end up, we're not going to get there. And that will be frustrating. Defining our goals is so important so that we don't have this quiet feeling of dissatisfaction running through our practice. Define your goals so that your teacher can help you outline a clear path towards meeting them. From there, you accept the challenges that are going to arise on your musical journey, the frustrating days, the days where you're tired and you don't want to practice, but you still do, the days that you've missed and you have to come back to violin feeling like you had missed some days. You're going to push through that and working consistently towards those goals that you have in your mind, and you will eventually get there. Happy practicing.